A really rewarding experience. Kind of one of the first experience where I realized how rewarding it could be to mentor whale penis.
Just double team it so that he's not getting a lack of anything anywhere, you know?
Nuts is a huge part of my diet. Cashews and I wasn't going to laugh, man.
I couldn't laugh while I was vaping because it hurts when you do that. Um,
I'm a big fan of cashews, even though they're kind of expensive.
yeah,
Pecans. I like pecans, whatever.
yeah. There's a couple of nuts that you're supposed to eat like every single day. I always forget what they are. But they have a lot
Really,
of zinc and they have a lot of other stuff that's just normally hard to get in your system. But yeah,
you
that's
find
where,
it
I
hard
mean,
to
peanut
get
butter, you
nuts
can
in your
just live.
system?
No, I mean, you see these cheekbones, bro?
Yeah, you definitely got some nut in your system.
Okay, dude, it went from nuts to nut. Like, there's a huge jump.
Jump? But
There's multiple lines. People are like, "Oh, you crossed a line." Like, no, 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 no. You just hopped a line, and it's an okay line to hop.
are you at the zoo?
Yes,
Oh,
actually. This whole you didn't know that? You
like you
don't
guys
even know.
are.
It's like $8 a month, and they brought like this bed is already here. I don't know what they were doing with it before, but yeah,
Do
there's
you
a
do you enter through a different entrance than like the main entrance to it,
nope,
or
nope.
no? You just have like a badge. Just
Well, I had a season pass to the zoo already because I like to go there
okay.
to protest.
Yeah, yeah. How do you protest?
Uh,
What's your forum?
I'm kind of glad you asked, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, what I personally like to do is get a loudspeaker, some chains, and I get to the highest building and I secure myself with as many chains as possible, and then I scale down the side of the building and I hang there and protest. And unlike a lot of protesters, I bring food. Like my whole point is to just bring awareness. So the
Hmm.
longer that I can guarantee that I'm secured to this place and then it's a spectacle, who's not going to look at the guy? Like if you just change yourself to some random thing, you know, I mean, cool. We get it. Animal slavery, it's not cool, but like we're trying to have fun right now with the kids. But that's something that if it's for children, then their parents can easily just say like, "Oh yeah, it's just a crazy guy doing his thing." I don't know.
So you bring food.
Yeah, yeah, I have like
So
a
I
knapsack.
imagine that that's you're there for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
They don't try to force you down, like, or they actually let you back into the zoo after.
Well, the issue is for them to get me down, they have to have somebody underneath me, and I'm a biter, so
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, that would complicate things
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I might have just left you up there too if you weren't causing too much ruckus,
Well,
you
and
know.
I'm repelling essentially, so if they were to let the chains go, I'm just gonna fall to my death, and then they'd be liable for that.
And
So
then they'd have a whole different challenge on their hands.
you got a whole nother barrel, rattlesnakes.
Yeah, that's a term I use frequently actually. It's like, what is this like
It's
right now?
pretty normal out here in Oklahoma, you know?
Yeah. In Utah, not so much, but I'm trying to make it more use, you know.
Yeah. Well, you just spend all your time in Quebec nowadays anyway. When you're not
Yeah.
recording, basically, you're just out there doing your hip hop and, you know,
Hmm.
playing the NFL for Canada. It's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you're
Yeah.
so
I mean,
humble too. You never talk about it.
yeah, it's just I don't feel the need to express the things that I do. It's just, if you know me and my little circle of life, then you can know the activities I partake in besides the podcast. But I fly to Utah to do the podcast, because there's a different energy in the States than there is in Quebec, and if we were to record from Quebec, I wouldn't quite pick up on that. So I have a studio that I rent in Utah.
Yeah, just
Just
the open area. I mean, it makes sense. Can
yeah,
breathe a little bit.
yeah. I mean, if you think about energy and the just vibrations and
I just thought like I should be like, oh, I fly in from Kenya or something. And then I was like, oh wait, so put the two last stories that we just told together and it equals I have a studio that's in a zoo and I fly in from Kenya to, where did I say? Connecticut?
no. You
I don't even
said,
know.
what did you say? I don't know,
Tennessee?
something.
Yeah, some random state.
So are you now trying to deflect this as a hypothetical situation so that people don't pick up on the fact that you are flying in from Kenya? Or is it a hypothetical situation?
I can't pull myself forward. No, I'm never going back to Kenya. The last time I was there, it was terrible.
Why? Like what was it specifically that
Baccarat, man.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either, honestly.
It's about as addicting as Tiger Blood. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably the second most addicting thing I've ever done. But Tiger
Wow.
Blood is number one. But I befriended a tiger for everybody's. He's actually he's hanging out behind the wall right there. He's my
So
bud.
he willingly gives it to you. Otherwise
Yes, yes.
it'd
Oh,
be
he
inhumane.
inserts the needle into his vein and everything. He's sharp.
He's one of those high functioning ones.
See, we've meditated together for
Hmm.
maybe 600,000 hours now,
Mm-hmm. That's a
something
lot
like
of
that.
hours.
I know you might not believe in hours, but
Yeah,
uh,
I don't.
I like to measure my metronomes, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I
I
wish that
always
seconds were
say,
faster though. You ever wish that? Like, it seems like a second is too long. I want it to be like boom, 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 boom. Like clocks could move faster.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Who doesn't, honestly?
I mean, now that I'm
Seconds.
thinking about it, Win32, maybe they need to listen in right now and speed up time a little bit. Like tweak the clocks or put more or less time on the clock. Which would you need? Less time on the clock. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you put less time on the clock, then the day would move faster, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I just want I just want it to be perceptually like time is moving quicker, you know? Then you'd be older than you actually are. Right now we're just working off time that somebody else set. Who
Yeah.
decided? Who decided the tick of the clock?
Who did though? Was didn't it, I feel like it has to be based off of something, not just like someone made up a second, and this is how long it'll last, and this is how many there is into this. Isn't it all based off of sunrise and sunset or something?
Well, that's the
Or
thing, is at one point that's what it was. Like there was the middle of the night and you could figure that out by figuring out how long the nights are individually, and you could even sit there and go and like scratch something for every single second to gauge how long your night was. Or you could burn something. Ooh, maybe you did it with some sort of like burning thing. Like you would light something on fire and gauge how long it would take for that one to burn.
yeah, I think the scratching one probably would be more useful. Like if you the second that the sun came over the horizon, you could like start doing the scratch and then watch the sunset and the moon, and then the second that the horizon came up again, and then you could like count the scratches and then start to formulate some sort of.
Wait, no, because for 24-hour clock, we would have to go from sunrise to sunrise or sunset to sunset. Because you would want to get a full 24-hour metronome, right?
Oh yeah, not sunrise to
Yeah.
not sunset to sunrise. You would want to go sunset to sunset
And
or
then you
sunrise.
would like edit it down a little bit to make it more palatable. So, like maybe rather than there being 60 minutes, there would have been like 63. And you're like, no, 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 fuck that. Let's just scratch off a
Well,
couple.
that's what they did with the year. Like the year's based off of, I don't remember exactly what it is. Revolutions with something, and it's not exactly 365. It's something else, but they just like, I'm gonna make it a better.
Seasons, not really my thing, to be honest. I don't even know the order of them. There was one point where I could only remember 3 of the seasons.
Sounds like you were having some fun. So that sounds like.
No, I was riding in the car just like a couple months ago. And then I remembered song lyrics and I was like, oh, yeah. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, bro. All you gotta do is call. I'll be there.
Yay. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you have to do is
If you've
call.
listened this far in,
And I'll be
now
there.
you're welcome for having that song stuck in your head for the rest of your day. I know how
You've
bad
got
that
a
sucks.
friend. I actually listened to that song today, believe it or not.
You got a friend in me?
Yeah. No, that's the Toy Story one. I'm talking about the James Taylor song.
Oh. Yep, that's on my playlist, man. A lot of weird stuff on my playlist.
Got a bunch of randos on there.
Yeah.
Bunch of
Sometimes I listen
randos.
to Freebird is a weird one that I listen to a lot.
Every single time I think of Freebird, I think about the last scene in that Rob Zombie movie.
I'm hesitant to tell a story about Freebird.
Well, you have to say it then. How risque is the story?
I'm gonna just use light terminology. Avert children, avert anybody who's sensitive. Maybe just stop watching now, like in general. Um,
So the
or
story
don't, and just write hateful
alleged.
comments or something and tell me how terrible I am or something. That's fine. If that's how you want to do it and it makes you feel better, I welcome that at any point. So, we went out to the bar. It's me, my friend, and our roommate, who was a girl.
Allegedly.
No, this is a fine
Oh,
story.
okay.
So, I'm not saying anybody's names. We're not really friends anymore. So, we were driving home from the bar, and as per usual, I grab the phone and I put in the song, and it's Freebird, and I go with the long version, and we're fucking jamming out, just like drunk and whatever. And then we get into the garage, and it's still like 6 minutes left on the song because it's about 11 minutes for the full cut, right? And it's just jamming and jamming and jamming. And at the end of it, I'm like, and I could tell that the girl in the car, and I asked, and she admitted it, had gotten aroused from rocking out to fucking Freebird. And it's like my favorite song. Worst story we've ever told on
That
this.
was not what I expected the story to be.
No, I know you didn't. That's where I was hesitant, because it was weird.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, though.
Nah, dude, that was.
You smelled it. There was an aroma.
I mean, we were going ham
Man,
in the car, like, you know,
that
so.
was some hard Freebird jamming.
Dude, it's so good though. Like, it hits the part where it's like right in the middle, and he just does this full-blown breakdown, and all the instruments just start going fucking in. Like, going in. It's intense. It's good shit. Dude, there's this,
I mean, just the fact that how much stories even behind that song to begin with, and the emotion put into there just adds to the
well, it
whole
hits home
ambience
for
of
me.
it.
I'm not judging if somebody doesn't like Freebird. I don't care what other people like. But for me, that song is like on point, and the lyrics are perfect. Like, I just want to be as free as a bird, and like feeling chained down to something doesn't really make me feel good. I like to have a home base, but like I would prefer to just freely roam around and do my thing, you know?
Sounds good to me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Your cheeks are red. It's weird.
I know. I feel my face warming up. I don't know why.
You a little hot under the collar, bud?
It's menopause.
Menopause.
Yeah.
You're gonna start losing beard patches now? Like you
Wouldn't that be
finally
awesome?
got to grow a full beard and now it's just taken away. You're just being stripped. Dude,
Finally got the growth of a beard.
if somebody's still watching right now, I totally get it, man. I'm having a blast. I'm just gonna say it. This is so much fun. Just sitting here riffing with my friend. I highly, highly encourage anybody that's interested in doing something like this to give it a shot. This feels so good.
Yeah, if you have a friend and you guys have talked about doing a podcast and for whatever reason you just don't do it, just pull the trigger.
Even if you just wanted to sit there and just talk into the camera and be like on your freaking phone and just be like, hey, this is how I feel today. Like, why not? Maybe you'll meet another person that feels the same way. You guys can help each other. It'd be cool.
Imagine if that was the platform. I mean, a lot of people use the platform of social media like that, where they are like are vloggers. Imagine if that was just how it was. Like instead of typing or commenting or anything, everything was video recordings. That's how you posted your status. That's how you posted the video.
Oh, like a comment to a video would be like, you'd have to actually
Yeah,
record
everything.
yourself
Yes,
or blur it, or you could point it down, I guess, technically. But
but it would change the whole social media game because you'd have to have a face behind everything you said, and it'd all be recorded with your face saying it.
and with the
It cle-
facial recognition technology where it's at now, they
like it
could
wouldn't let you.
guarantee that your face is there and know that it's not like a mannequin face. Maybe have like heat signature recognition, you know what I'm saying?
Or iris scanners.
Something. Ooh.
Maybe that's the next invention that we'll make is a social media platform that's only video.
Yeah, you have to comment with a video. Hmm.
You have to post with the video.
I mean, somebody will probably steal that idea already. I mean, we gotta be being watched. We already
Yeah,
have
I
like
mean,
120 views. Like, ooh, woohoo.
somebody's working on that app right now.
Oh yeah.
They're already coding
Mhm.
and paying for the patent and everything.
Good thing we code together, so you just gotta make a road trip over here and just be careful when you go through the jungle and do not give the troll any money, okay? Just keep driving, because when you slow down, that's when he's able to catch you. That's where everybody gets jacked up, okay? There's a wolf, just keep on driving. Hit him if you have to. That's why you have insurance. You know what I'm saying? Don't mess with him. He's addicted to crack cocaine, but it's fine. Like, you could take him, like one on one, I'm saying, you know? Maybe bring like an aluminum baseball bat. Be nice about it. Don't bring like a corked wood one or something and really lay into him. But if he gives you too much grief, feel free. But
I
you
always
come over here, we're
find
gonna code cross hand, right? So you put one hand in between my hands and then one hand on the other side, so we can just, bam, we'll bang it out twice as fast.
so we're connect our coding power.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
Let's
have the
not use
mind?
two keyboards. Let's just use one.
Yeah. Do you have the mind link at your place?
It's in right now, dude.
Yo, yeah. I thought I felt something.
Yeah, yeah. I
Alright.
did the self-install and everything. Thankfully, I missed my brainstem. Oh, we shouldn't talk about this yet.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Shoot.
not ready to release it to the public.
Yeah, we kind
But
of
yeah,
just
no, I
ruined our
find.
sponsorship ad for this episode, but whatever. You guys will enjoy it when we decide to cut.
Yeah.
It's up to us, though. You don't just get it when you want it. I know you're addicted to our ads, but just,
You
you know,
guys aren't making any of the decisions here.
I'm
Sorry.
getting about 600 DMs an hour about ad work. All I'm
I
saying.
mean, we have sponsors reaching out constantly to pay high dollars for our spots. High dollars.
You know what I do every day? I wake up, chalk my hands up, I get on the trapeze, okay, and then I eat all the fish off of the buffet table at the hotel that I'm staying in, and then, I usually light a bonfire somewhere, like in a nice area, maybe next to the beach, and then I walk to the mountaintop barefoot, and then I just get on my phone and I just respond to all the emails. I mean, it's nice out here in Hawaii, dude.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty average Christopher morning, honestly.
Oh yeah, and this is all by like 7, because I want to have time to really get some stuff done. Uh, so, I get up at 2. I usually go to sleep around, I don't know, man, 1:30, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Give yourself enough time to get
Yeah.
some rest.
I
Yeah.
eat at least 1/8 of a banana every morning before I go to the beach and then go to the top of the mountain just to make sure I'm good, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you would honestly be making a poor choice if you didn't eat the eighth of that banana, but if you ate more than that, you also be making a poor choice. So that
Yeah, I mean,
that
Cramp
exact that
City.
exact amount, yeah, that exact amount is what you do. I find that when I wake up at 3, about an hour after you do,
Okay.
I open up every single drawer in my house.
Ooh, that's healthy.
Yeah, I make sure that there's nothing.
Sorry. Keep going. I'm loving it.
I make sure there's nothing in there that wasn't in there the night before, because the last thing that you want is things in your drawers that weren't there the night before. So, I leave them all open for about 5 minutes, let them air out. Um, while I'm letting it air out, I go and I brush my teeth. Well, but the thing that people don't realize is the way that everyone's brushing their teeth these days is very inefficient. I use 2 toothbrushes,
Genius.
and I brush the top and the bottom at the same time. So I cut down my time that I'm spending brushing my teeth, and it pays dividends with the rest of the things that I do. So after that, I close all the drawers, put my clothes on, my shoes, and I go outside and I walk the same 8 feet of sidewalk in circles for about 3 hours. Okay.
Oof.
Really, really get the juices flowing.
Do
Really
you
get
just
that
turn the same direction the whole time, or do you rotate directions, like maybe
this
after an
the
hour and a half?
same the same direction. I wouldn't want to throw off the momentum, you know. Um, so after the 3 hours of walking the same 8 foot section of sidewalk, I come back in the house. Um, I take several cold showers. So I take the cold shower, I get out, I put clothes on, and then I take those clothes off. I go back, I take a second cold shower. I come back, I put clothes on, I take a third cold shower, and then those are the clothes that I wear for the day.
So
I
new
find.
clothes every time though, right? And then
Yeah,
wash the old ones. It would be crazy not to.
yeah, no, I don't reuse them. I put them right in the dirty clothes.
Yeah, that would be disgusting.
Yeah, I only have 3 pairs of clothes, so I end up doing a lot of laundry.
How do you deal with the stress of only taking 3 showers though? That's what I don't understand. 'Cause I take minimum seven. Minimum seven.
Yeah, you'd think I'd get anxiety from not taking at least the 7.
I would be
I
clamoring. I mean, literally shaking. Like, there's no way.
mhm. Like, and you could see the tremors
Yeah.
from, yeah. I meditate on it a lot,
Okay.
so um, I sit there and I just go. It's okay. I only took 3 showers. It's okay. I only took 3 showers. It's okay. I only took 3 showers. And after about an hour of that, I feel okay. I feel all right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So rather than take 4 more showers, you meditate for like an hour, hour and a half.
Yes. Yes. It makes more sense for me.
Entirely reasonable. I mean, you're on
Yeah.
a fixed income pretty much right now, so
Yeah. I can't waste water.
I
What
mean,
would
it's
that?
not about the apartment charging you for the water, but you can't in good conscience charge them for more water if you can help it, right? What
Well,
kind of person?
how do you think the water feels just to be used excessively like that?
These are things nobody's talking about, man.
No, and this needs to be at the forefront of all conversations is we talk about speciesism, right? We talk about how can you value the life of a dog more than the life of a cow, but how can you value the life of a dog or a cow more than you value how the water feels when you use it?
Right?
Honestly,
We just
honestly.
walk around all over all the sand, never think like, hey man, is it cool if I partake in walking out to this water and then ask the water for permission? You really should be doing these things, people.
We don't ask for consent to
I
the
know.
water.
I feel like at least 4% of people these days don't ask for consent before, walking by somebody on the street or purchasing an item. Make sure that it's okay that you engage the store clerk. What are you doing? Come on. You go into Starbucks and you just get in line. You don't ask every single individual person if they're okay with you getting in line behind them and standing there menacingly. What if they have children, you know?
Yeah, like we
Jeez.
really need to start being more compassionate in all situations. I mean, how does it make you feel when you're sitting on a bench and somebody walks past you and doesn't stop before they reach your presence and ask if it's okay if they invade your presence for a couple seconds to pass by you? How does that make you feel, honestly?
At the
It
very
doesn't.
least, you could walk around my 40-foot bubble, you know? My peripherals are pretty good, so, like, just, scoot around it. It's fine. I'm usually reading a novella, so it's not that big of a deal. Like, just where I can't see you if I have, that, or I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
if
lie.
I can
Sometimes I
catch you,
watch
if I can
soaps.
catch you in my peripheral, that's a problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I get full cat as soon as people do that, and it tends to get them out of my safe zone, you know?
Yeah, they hear the noises that you're making and they scurry out of the peripheral vision.
Can you believe that people go into an establishment and they don't ask if it's okay to breathe? Can you believe that? You just go into a deli and it's a small hometown deli and you just start breathing their fucking air. Assholes, man. I'm telling you.
We have some major issues in our society.
We really do. I don't know what we're
Major
gonna do about it.
issues. Maybe if we stop worrying about building a wall and we start worrying about asking for consent for everything, issues will start to resolve themselves.
Do you know how many times I asked this chair if it was okay if I sat down?
I even asked my left hand if it was all right if my right hand touched it.
Yep.
Is this okay?
I ask
Makes
myself
sense.
internally every single time, and every time that it's a no, I just keep them separate. I just have to deal with that.
It's not that hard.
They have their own minds, you know. Sometimes righty wants to be playing violin, so I just crank like this, and I just jam out like with this bad dog. Lefty wants to be watching, you know, some sort of parasite documentary about whatever, and then eventually, like, I get them really close together. It's a lot of fun, you know, and I
Yeah.
kind of it's a good time, man. Oh my God, I actually got the cat hair out of my mouth. That's a beautiful thing.
Congratulations. Did you
Yeah,
ask before you took it out?
I did. I did. You couldn't hear because I muted my mic. That's why you're getting all red, because you're just so worked up. Nobody's asking for consent, and it's just
these these issues just I become flabbergasted.
every single person that I'm driving on the road with, I have a sign on my car that says I give you consent, and nobody else does. It's really fine print so that we can all slow down and take time to read it, you know? I think it's important. I really do. Dude, you know what's crazy? Breaking this little character here. My dog, Mister, who you guys have seen for a long time and I'm just now introducing, but, you know,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
didn't think
about you.
about that till now. Yeah.
But anyway, he's also the forefront of all of our social media. So anybody that came here that doesn't actually know us, that would be kind of weird. But anyway, it's part of the charm. He's so freaking cute and loves his window. And people will like take pictures at freaking intersections. I was driving, I take him everywhere I go, right? He's my freaking road dog. So we're cruising in the truck. I got the window down for him in the side. There's a dude that's just walking by, like he was leaving work or something. I think he had a uniform on. He's like, "Oh, sweetheart dog, whatever." Sticks his hand out, just pets my dog for a minute, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up, man?" You know, doing our thing. And he's just getting petted by some random stranger, and then we go drive off. It was sick. I was like, "Huh, that was that was really cool."
Your dog's gotta have like a really good energy for strangers just to feel that they're able to pet him without the fear that they're gonna have a negative reaction or anything. But as we've spoken before, normally the dog reacts negatively to people who act like that anyways. But
He's weird though. With the past that he had, he he starts growling. I mean, I think you saw it a little bit when we were driving around when you were out here, but he just gets like threatened by random people. We'll be driving, we're like in the left-hand turn lane, like in the middle of the street, and somebody's coming up to the corner at the sidewalk, and he's like, "Rrr, rrr." Like, bro, that guy is so far away from you and outside of the car. Like, you're good, you know? And it's fine. I mean, I just pet him and tell him he's okay, but it's just the weirdest thing, you know? It makes me
so
wonder, like, does he actually
something
have a
triggers
sense?
them.
You know? It's my
I think
favorite thing.
I, I think I think they do have a sense, honestly. But I also think the energy you bring, like the energy you bring in. Um, I had a buddy who had two dogs, and his dogs were always super friendly with everybody. And then there was one of our friends who was afraid of dogs, and everyone else walks into the house, and he's hesitant. And I think that they pick up on that, and then their brain goes, "This is a reason to be on guard because this person is
Yeah.
uneasy." Like they're not thinking like, "Oh, he's afraid of dogs. That's understandable. Let's go make sure that he feels comfortable." Like they pick up on that timidness and that insecurity of your safety because the dogs, and they chase him out of the house. These dogs never chase anyone out of the house, but this person, they chased him down the street. He took
Yeah.
off. He took off running. Like
Yeah. I mean, 'cause we did train them to where if somebody was afraid of them, that's the person to deflect from the property. So, if you really think about it. The whole reason we bred them in the first place was to get rid of things that would be scared of them. And to this day we still do. So,
Yeah, well, do you think a dog is conscious enough that when you're sad, it's recognizing your body language and your emotion and your face? Hold on. Or do you think the dog is sensing that from like your energy?
no.
Like human beings, if you're sad, I can pick up on your body language in your face. You think a dog also picks up on that, or they pick up on something different? You think it's that?
Yeah. Because you can pretend too. Like I've tricked dogs into thinking I'm crying. Because they've been there when I was actually crying. And then when I was just playing around and being like, and acting differently. Like Mister isn't really, he doesn't come to try and console me. He comes to me for consolation. And then just goes off and lives his wild dog life. He likes to be docile and just chill in here for the most part and just like hang out on his bed and whatever. When I take him out, dude, he never has a leash on. I mean, I put a leash on him today because there was a bunch of dogs with us, so it was kind of necessary to keep him on a leash so
Yeah, you
not
don't want to
everybody's
be
trying to get ahead of
busy.
him and
Yeah.
he's being all crazy running in the street, which he never goes in the street unless there's other dogs. So, but yeah, I mean, he's like the best he could possibly be, but he doesn't come to try and make me feel better, you know. He's pretty anxious most of the time, and I just try and keep him worn out and tired and loving life. And when I see him out of breath and fucking slobbering all over his ball, I'm just like, this is what I live for right here. This is my favorite thing. Watching my dog work out, have a blast. I'm sure
It's your
it's
child. Yeah,
like a
it's
way
your
better
child.
thing for you with your child, but like, it's there. It's like you're there and I'm like right there. I'm like,
I try not to separate it that much. Like when people have animals and they describe to me what raising a puppy's like and the amount of attention it really takes to train a puppy the right way and things like that.
yeah. Oh, Jeff always just throws him under. Speaking of, he gets a treat.
Yeah.
He gets him hand delivered, you know? People like him a little bit.
The
Thank you.
people the people from the zoo like to hook up
Oh,
Mister and
absolutely.
it's cool.
You know what? I'm getting comfy on this episode. It's comfy
Nothing
Chris right here.
nothing wrong with that. But no,
Mark,
yeah,
though?
I don't try to what? You say Mark?
Why am I
Oh,
Mark, man? That sucks.
I don't know. I should have given you a better name. I'm pretty ashamed of myself,
That's,
honestly. Like out of all of the names that I could have thought of, I chose Mark.
it could have been like Travis. That would have been a little worse. Or Vincent.
What about Chad?
I could almost be a Chad, though.
Have you ever met a cool Chad?
Yeah, but I'm saying like what if I had more like neck muscles, you know? Like what if
Yeah,
my like neck muscles were bigger? Because I like maybe I used to swim or something, but I got kicked off the swim team because I was I don't know like selling Adderall or some stupid shit. You
that
know,
sounds like a Chad thing.
that's
That sounds
such a
like.
Chad thing.
Yeah, if you used more hair product, I could see it more.
Yeah, see, this is city water.
Mmm.
Um, it comes out of the faucets in your house. So you know how there's like things on both sides, or sometimes there's like a nozzle that you can push up into some other direction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so water comes out of that. I know, dude. It blew me away. I found out like a couple days ago. You should check
You
it
know
out
what
though.
just blew me away during this conversation? I have this Bang can sitting here. Bang is made by Redline.
Oh, really? Throwback.
This whole time I've been drinking them, I've never read this description on the can, and it's Redline Energy Products.
Hmm.
No wonder it's so intense.
Yeah, no shit.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah. It's
Good
all
for
coming
Redline,
together.
because Redline is definitely didn't catch on like this thing did. Everybody drinks these. I see them everywhere. When's the
They're
last time you
good, dude.
saw? Yeah, when's the last time you saw a drink catch on like this?
Yeah, and there's not like a crazy amount of sugar, you know. Wait, read how much sugar is in that.
No, it's zero. 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, zero artificial flavors, zero carbs. There's nothing in it. It's nothing. It's air. It's air caffeine. I would like to know what the creatine interacts with the caffeine, like how that interacts. I know creatine is a muscle hydrator.
Well,
I wonder how that I wonder if it like does something to the transportation of the caffeine.
it feels good, that's for sure. It feels different than a lot of energy drinks. Those Zevias that I drink, though, man, those feel really good too. Just kind of in a different way. It's not as intense of a feeling. It's more of a like longevity instead.
Not all at once
Yeah.
intensity. You ever taken like one of those thermo fat burner things?
I think only like once, but I just didn't like it. It just made my heart rate go
It's
like jacked up. I was
crazy.
just like, I don't.
It's
It wasn't like
crazy.
caffeine. It wasn't the same thing.
Mm-mm. It definitely jacks you up though.
Nah, man. I
People
I
do.
always was like for the other side of things for the most part. Like I dabbled with, powdered drugs that make you go fast and all that, but that was never something I was really attracted to. Caffeine is nice because once you learn how to moderate it, then you just get like a boost, but it's not like an overwhelming thing.
It's useful.
Yeah, it creates an area for productivity. Like I had one before work, which was, I don't know, whatever time it is right now, probably 10 hours ago, and I still feel pretty good right now. So,
Well, it's a nootropic.
yeah.
So like you said, even getting to a place where you're not relying on caffeine, like you've been off of caffeine for a month and you're getting pretty good energy off of clean diet and you're getting good energy off of exercise and maybe meditation, things of that nature. You drink an energy drink, it's gonna take you to that next level of operation in your brain. It
Yeah,
just
it's
it just
weird.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done
It's
it.
great. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. Just giving context for people listening. But yeah, I mean, I went a long time without it, and I was sitting at the table one day, and actually, I had stopped smoking pot for a little bit too. And I was sitting at the table eating lunch, and there's like a little sunlight coming through. And I think I had my headphones in, I was listening to some podcast or music, and I was just like, man, I'm way too high right now. Like I don't want to be this high. And then I realized I hadn't smoked weed for 3 days. And I was like,
Isn't that a trip?
whoa. Like I was in a whole nother zone, you know? And then caffeine too is the same thing. Like I literally just stopped drinking it, and then I thought about it and looked back and was like, I didn't buy an energy drink from the first day that I started uh, doing Lyft and Uber and stuff like that. And it was a month later that I ended up buying one and just being like, like I literally went from writing 2,000 words every night to writing 4,000 words every night. Like I just doubled my production when it came to the more small things that I was doing, not so much the gym. I didn't like drinking it early. I would do it like mid to late day.
Your camera was just tripping out like crazy though.
I know our loyal MTAC viewers would love to just watch dogs licking their penises more often, and we want to bring it to you at this uh, address above. Um, yeah, He's just gonna keep doing it, so I guess we can all just watch together. I feel like we're all bonding right now, and this is very special. Oh, hey, that's a cool shirt you're wearing, Michael.
First time, one of the first times Matt and I did outdoor school counseling when we were in high school, we
So cool.
we brought caffeine pills with us. Um, we were jacked. We were jacked. I remember we had, this is a funny story.
Wait, hold on, real fast. Remember that we're gonna talk about the caffeine pills? But
Okay.
will you explain what outdoor school is? Because most places don't have that. Like, that was a luxury for us to be able to go do that. That's like a cherished memory for me.
It's amazing. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to do outdoor school. I got to go to outdoor school in like sixth grade, and then I also got to
Same.
be a counselor. Outdoor school is, I know they have it on a different scale now, where you get to go for like a day, and you go to like a big cabin area in the woods next to a beach or something, and they have counselors, and you get to learn things like reforestation and like what happens when fires happen to forests and it being good for forests. I remember we would teach weather patterns like clouds gathering moisture from the ocean, and then like it rains so much in Oregon because the clouds have to get over the mountains, so they have to drop all the rain, etc. Things like that. And then when we were younger, we got to go for a week, so it was like
Yeah,
your first. It
it
was
was
yeah,
so
it
cool.
was your first time being away from your parents, really by
Dude,
yourself for a week.
them porta potties though. Not even porta potties, bro. These are outhouses. Straight up. Somebody built a wooden structure on top of a big hole in the ground with wooden toilets built in, and it's like a bench with a hole in it, and you just sit, and then there's just the
Yeah,
cool
but
stuff,
then
bro. We got to shoot BB guns, I think. We got to
what?
like play football. Maybe not
Huh?
BB guns. I also was in Cub Scouts, so maybe that's what I did there, but we
No,
got
it
to
was
do all
cool. You
sorts
would
of
get
cool
to,
stuff.
because you would have your counselor in your cabin, and then you would make up like cabin chants, and they made it kind of competitive between the cabins, and you would have giant campfires for everybody. I remember doing skits. I remember
Yep.
one of the times I was an outdoor school counselor, we did the Soldier Boy dance with our cabin in front of everybody, making fools of ourselves. But I went when I was in high school. We had to do community service hours, and that's what got us into it. To fulfill our community service hours, we'd be outdoor school counselors.
Sick.
So yeah, you'd go for a week at a time. Really rewarding experience. Kind of one of the first experience where I realized how rewarding it could be to mentor kids and be a role model to them, and how cool it felt for them to look up to you and like want to be you and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But I actually have two funny stories for being an outdoor school
I'm
counselor.
excited.
So I'll go back to the caffeine pills one, and Matt and I were at the campfire, and we were always so loud. We'd be like, "Oh yeah," and all the kids were like, "Yeah, like you guys are awesome." And Matt and I had a best friend relationship, so they probably picked up on that sort of thing. Bonfire, and Matt had the caffeine pills with him, and I wanted one. So like we spoke, and we walked to the side of the bonfire, and he had it in his hand, and we were being sketchy with it for some reason. Obviously you probably don't want to be seen taking a pill in front of kids, even though it's just caffeine. And there's one of the older counselors is there. They had like the people who actually worked for ODS, the outdoor school
Hmm.
program,
Okay.
and he's standing there, and Matt takes the caffeine pill in his hand and goes to give it to me. And we miss the connection of the caffeine pills, and he drops them into the sand right in front of the outdoor school person, and these pills drop into the sand. And we're just like, oh no, what is going to take place right here? That's a big issue. Um, the outdoor school leader guy ended up being cool, and just kind of like buried the pills and didn't do anything about it. I don't remember if we later told them they were caffeine pills,
Yeah, well,
but I just
hopefully.
remember that oh shit moment of like we just dropped pills at outdoor school.
As you were trying to sketchy hand pass them rather than just be like, yeah, I just gave him an Advil.
Yeah, or I just gave him a caffeine pill. Like,
Yeah.
so another lesson I learned from outdoor school is that you can't tell children anything because they will tell everyone and everyone will know. So they make you choose outdoor school names, and my name was always Whale. So I had the little wood cookie with whale on it, everything like that. And I thought I was going to be the funny counselor. So my kids are in my cabin, and they're like, "Whale, why did you choose your name? Why do they call you Whale?" And Michael thinks he's funny, and he tells the sixth graders, "Oh, it's because I have a whale penis." Not something you want to tell a bunch of 13-year-old boys, right?
Oh
So,
no.
we wake up the next day and they had activities that they would go and do with the older counselors. And then we would have like meetings and things like that. And I remember coming out of the meeting with the older counselors and like little girls looking at me like, ew, whale,
Oh no.
that's gross. And I'm standing here like not realizing what I said, right? Like, cause I didn't think it was a big deal. I'm like, what are they acting like? And like slowly it starts to come out and I'm just like, oh.
Oh. Did you have like repercussion from that?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. You'd think I would. You'd think one of them would pull me inside and be
But
like,
it
"Hey,
was a
you."
1 day thing, right?
The outdoor school process is a 1 day thing,
No,
or
no,
like,
no. Like the group of kids was there for 1 day and then gone
no, no, no. This was a week.
when you were doing the counseling?
Yeah, yeah. We were
Oh,
there for a
okay.
week. Yeah,
Oh, cool. So you
yeah,
did the hikes and making the trail mix and the crappy
yeah,
food.
yeah. The whole nine, all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
What a
awesome, man.
responsibility! What a responsibility to give to a bunch of 16-year-olds.
I know. Well, that's the whole plot of one of the biggest
Yeah.
horror franchises ever.
Outdoor school?
Yeah, dude, you're just out there finger diddling while there's some kid out there drowning, and then, 20 years later, his mom comes
Oh,
and murders a bunch of
Jason.
kids, and
Yes.
wow, dude, no, that's Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously.
Wait, that I thought that's how wasn't Jason the same thing? The kid drowns
Oh,
in the
you
lake.
actually think I'm serious? Oh, okay.
Um,
No, 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 I was kidding. Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare. It's Freddy Krueger.
yeah, but yeah, so you can't tell kids anything, especially three year
No.
olds. I was telling you, my mom and or even me in front of my son, he's sitting here and I stub my toe and I go, shit, and it's like my brain knew he was going to say it. As I was saying it, I turn and he looks at me and smiles and goes, shit. It's like
See, I don't care about that, though.
yeah, I mean, I saw a video. There's that like billionaire guy that was on Rogan and he's on all these shows and he was speaking and cursing in front of children and the woman was bringing up the fact of how wrong it was that he was doing that and he was explaining to her, you think that this is wrong. I don't think that this is wrong. Like it's words and things like that.
Yeah. I curse at work. I curse everywhere. I don't. I pick and choose who my audience is, but for the most part, if I'm talking to a child, I don't have any reason to curse. And I don't curse out loud in public for the most. I mean, I curse if you and I go into Target. I'm just going to talk to you how I normally talk to you. But I'm just aware if there's children around. But if my own child wants to say shit, it's a word. It's a word. People are like, oh, it's an unintelligent habit because you don't have another word. No, it's a very strongly descriptive word, actually.
Well, it's just the snowball effects that can happen. If my child goes to kindergarten and he's saying shit, and then the other kids start saying shit, and then the other kids' parents start asking the school about they're saying shit, and like it could turn into something way
Then he gets
larger.
expelled and you put him in homeschooling and he says shit all he wants to and learns actual factual things about history and gets to have like a creative development throughout his childhood.
Yeah, as long as there was still a form of socialization with other children his age, I wouldn't feel.
I don't think I don't think it'd be an issue. Just be like, hey man, these people are saying that you can't curse, so if you want to be on this team or if you want to go to this school and do this thing, then you're more than welcome to, and just don't curse while you're there. Or if you just want me to teach you stuff, then come home
Yeah,
and
put the
curse, you know what
ball,
I mean?
make it a choice. Make it a that's a cool idea, Chris. Actually, like
I
make it a
mean, you
choice for
have the
the
opportunity
child.
to do that with your life, and between the two of us, dude, I mean, he's set. Like, I mean, maybe even, your child's mother could find a creative pursuit too and be all down for that as well. Or maybe she goes career style and, you could take care of the educational stuff and we just drop him back off. And between the two of us, how could we not become certified to do that for you to be
Yeah,
a homeschool dad? Like,
if
if he has
everything
access
works
to a
out.
secondary source, like whatever classes that you don't take to be able to be certified to teach, I could take those and we can compensate in both directions and just double team it so that he's not getting a lack of anything anywhere, you know?
Yeah, and then I'm still pretty sure I had a couple homeschooled friends growing up. They're still like for it to be able to actually be a viable process, there's still like standardized testing he would
Oh
have to
yeah,
take
yeah.
at some
Yeah.
places, but yeah.
No, absolutely. And there are certain things. I don't think that a lot of those tests are bad to have that amount of information. Like to get your GED, the amount of information that you need is like a ninth grade education, right? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's very little real information. You just have to know equations, how to form sentences, how to form a paragraph, how to write creatively and use a lot of words. I mean, it's not freaking rocket science,
Well,
you know?
the part of it that interests me would be being able to raise a child with the same knowledge as the other children, but without the restrictiveness of this is the path that you need to take to become a human being in this society. Like, if you could raise them with more of an open, creative space, what kind of effect would that have? And I'm sure that there's been people like that, and you could probably look up research about what happens when there is that kind of situation. Obviously, there's going to be homeschooling where it's pretty similar to what is actually still taking place, but you're just at home. But yeah, I would just be concerned as far as the socialization, developmental process. But you could put them in other activities that would be fine for that as well. I've seen the difference between a child who starts kindergarten without having socialization on a larger scale, and then what happens when their child was socialized from like the age of 2.
Yeah.
And like my son's so comfortable with other kids and he wants to play at the park and everyone's his friend and everything like that, and you'll see other children who are like super timid and still super attached to like their parents in a way where it's like, oh, like maybe you should socialize your child more. I
Well,
mean, like
yeah,
it's like
and
a
I don't think going to primary schooling, like, I might have used that term incorrectly, but like the initial sort of school experience of kindergarten or preschool and then maybe first, second, third grade, whatever, like that's fine. He's gonna want to go. But once he hits a point where it's like I don't like this. Like this isn't how I learn. If that's how he is. Maybe he prospers, dude. Maybe he loves it. Maybe he's a bookworm and just loves chilling and has fun and the path that he's able to set up for himself is the one that he wants and then he can go to college and blah blah blah. Cool.
And maybe
I mean,
that's kind of along with our message, right?
yeah,
Like let him experience both and then give him the choice. What
yeah.
do you want to do? Do you want to go back or do you want to continue doing what you're doing now? And that being able to do something creatively, you and I ourselves, to put yourself in a situation where you could have a passive income to a certain degree, to have the time to even make that an option is a really cool thing, right? I mean, if everybody wasn't working to die so much, maybe more people would be open to that idea because a lot of people don't even see that as a possibility to begin with, you know.
Well, like imagine just in a perfect world, right? We get to follow through with our plan. We get a house, the three of us, and then, Logan being there as much as possible. Um, we could be doing the thing that we have planned of doing like an overnight sort of whatever, or maybe it could be something different. Maybe it'll evolve. But I've had that pretty stuck in my head, just doing that particular idea. So it'd be like overnight, we just have our own sort of thing, schedule wise. So stay up all night. You take Logan to school, you go to sleep while he's at school, you wake up, you pick him up, and then he's chilling. And you just chill with him, and then you stay up all night, he goes to sleep, you go off to work, and then, we've got somebody that's at home hanging out, making sure that nothing goes wrong, and he's cool, and so you still get like 8 hours every time that he's over, and sick, dude.
That would be the
Freaking sick.
optimum way to get done what you want to get done is
Yeah,
literally turning the time that your child's asleep into productive time.
exactly. Like you're just off working, and then somebody's at home. You know, it's kind of perfect. I mean, the schedule that you have now is fine too, where you
It's
sleep at the
amazing.
same time.
Yes.
It's obviously optimum, and you could do this forever. Let's be real.
Well, and it's what I explained to you as well is not being with the mother of my son, but having a wonderful best friend relationship with her,
Yeah.
and then having the split time makes the time that either of us get to spend with our son much more amazing because you're getting to fulfill what you want to do as an individual and you're getting to fulfill what you want to do with your child. I feel like I hear a lot of experiences where there's a lot of resentment between the married couple because it's not worked out in a way where it's like, hey, you're going to have him for maybe these 2 days while I do my thing. And then I'll have him for these 2 days while you do these things. And then these other 2 days is when we all spend it together. So there ends up being like this weird thing of like always the other person struggling to like go play disc golf with their friends or do this and that because there's never like this understanding of what this actually is as a situation, you know?
Well, and then if I can expound on that a little bit, I believe that a resentment starts to build. Like you don't want the other person to go have fun because you perceive that you never get that reciprocated. So you both have to sit there. And I mean, I hate to put it in these terms, but you're both suffering by not going and doing things for you, even if it is your child and that's the reason that you're at home. Like, if you're both forced to be there all the time and you don't separate yourselves from that environment to have your own individualized existence, you're doing something that's just crazy. I mean, that's like if you were just in the gym all day, constantly worried about your physique. Like you spent literally 12 hours there. Maybe not working out the whole time, but you just hung out there. That's all you do. That's not healthy, man.
And
Like
it's not
focusing on
enjoyable.
one
Yes.
thing constantly, even if that's development of your child, like that is an over the top way of going about it if you were to constantly. I kind of diverted from what I was saying, but
No, I get it. And it's the same thing of when you go out as a family unit, is your full attention in the moment of experiencing you guys together as people as a beautiful thing, or are you already thinking about what am I going to do when I get home? I can't wait till they go to sleep so I can play video games because you don't feel like you are fulfilled in your person. How amazing do you think it is when me, my son's mother, and I go out to do things specifically as a family
you got
unit?
no resentment, no
It's
fucking
amazing.
wet
We're
towel
enjoying
left
we're
on the
enjoying each
ground.
other.
Oh
We're
my
enjoying
god,
each
man.
other.
No
Like
hot curling iron she didn't tell you about right next to your fucking toothbrush, just like always, and you burn yourself because you still got crusties in your eye. Like, none of that. None of
but
that. You
that's
just
not
got
to
a
say that you
beautiful
can't
kid.
have that. But that's not to say you
No,
can't have that being married, but
whatever.
you have
Sure,
to
of
you
course.
yeah.
I want to eventually find somebody that I can just coexist and have like a beautiful, wonderful relationship, and I'm sure it'll happen at some point. But I think that we're all just very lonely on some level, and a lot of us are willing to just compromise, you know? I mean, and I
There's
totally get it. I totally get it. 100% when you're in a relationship and you stay in it. I mean, dude, I was with a girl, and I've told you, but I mean, for the viewers, like, it was insane. We were just yelling and screaming constantly, and like she clawed my face one time, and freaking punched me in the back of the head. She had a knife and like literally pulled a knife on me, like a kitchen knife, and ended up having me like backed up all the way into the back corner of the apartment, like crazy stuff. She says I did all this crazy stuff to her. It's, oh man, like it was the worst. And I stayed around, and even after all the stuff, and then we separated, we still ended up back like hanging out again. It was nuts, man. Like it was
Well, and
nuts.
at that point too, you end up, like we were saying, becoming self-loathing and having some sick and twisted enjoyment out of the self-loathing. You also have that in relationships where you, in a weird way, start. I don't know. I'm hesitant to say wanting that, but it's like you become accustomed to it, and then it becomes like part of you, and it's like you like it in some weird, sick, twisted way. But I feel like there's a giant reason when you get married to try to exhaust every single option to stay together, right?
Well,
But hold on, let me
very
finish. Let me finish.
situational, but yeah, I get what
Yes,
you
it is
mean.
situational, but at a certain point, you should become separated for the benefit of everyone involved.
Oh
And it
yeah.
doesn't have, like, when is that point? If you're staying together past that point, I feel like everything past that point will only become worse and more negative. It's like if I'm trying to do a profession and I've done everything possible to become the best at this profession, and it's just not working out for me as who I am as a person, and I continue to do it and expecting better results to happen, even though I've hit the pinnacle of what I can do learning wise. Is that not foolish?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like you said, it's all situational. We don't know
Yeah,
people's situations. We don't know what's going on. But
yeah.
and then ironically, we're speaking in a generation where divorce is enormous, you know.
Well,
So
I mean, again, dude, like I think that we're willing to look past so much that we don't realize is gonna become frustrating. And as you go through relationship after relationship, you just have to start recognizing signals of patterns that you don't cohabitate well with or that you find to be in disdain. Like, just know in advance. Look at the signals, know the signs. One of my most recent relationships, like, there was obvious signs that there was a loneliness factor. And I was just like, you know what? Beautiful person deserves a person to be with. And I just, I just kept cohabitating, even though, I mean, we can still cohabitate perfectly fine, and we're literally the best of friends. So it's wonderful, but it took ending a relationship to make that happen. It's crazy. Like,
yeah,
she's
you wouldn't
now a
think at
person
that.
that I care for right up there with you. Like, in importance in my life. People that at there's a handful, and they all know who they are, but it's crazy, you know.
It's
We were
it's it,
great friends. Terrible relationship. Like terrible. Terrible. Simple things too. And it was my fault too. I'm not 100% like it's who I am can't facilitate somebody else's existence on like a repetitious scale when you have to be fused with them. Because when you're in a relationship, you have to recognize like you are what you eat, you are who you hang out with, and that's what it is. So if they have drastically different habits and thought processes on things, like it makes it tough. And there's a certain amount of opposite that you can handle, but then there's a certain amount that just makes it like, what are you doing? You know?
I mean, I relate to you with what you described immensely,
I think
and you know
most people
that.
do.
My son's mother and I we tried hard, and it just didn't work out as a cohabitable situation being in a relationship together. But now that we've worked past all that and we're great co-parents and best friends, I love her. I love her as much as I love you, as much as I love my parents, my brother. and it's beautiful. It's honestly beautiful. I even tell her that I love her, right? I'm not in
Oh
love
yeah,
with her.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My ex-girlfriend dropped me off at work today. Like, I don't call her my ex-girlfriend because that's a weird title, but like, yeah, she dropped me off at work today. I was like, I love you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you, tonight. Like,
Well, and like you said, recognizing things. I've realized for me is one of the giant things that gets in my way in those types of situations, even in friendships, is underestimating how powerful it can be to not express feelings that I think are trivial and I shouldn't say. And I've become a lot better at not doing that. Like having that thought, man, I should call this person and say this and this and this. And then I get that third thought of like, oh, that's not really that big deal. Should you really do that? How are they going to receive that? Is that silly? And I go, no, screw that. And I call the person and I express it to them, and it turns out well. It actually turns out really well.
you remember when I made that post? Here's something that I would urge people to do, just as a talking point. Uh, I had somebody who I had known for a long time, and they really let me down pretty bad in a lot of ways, and I was extremely disappointed, and I was like, I didn't want to lash out in any way, and I really didn't want to be hurtful, but I just wanted to completely disconnect from the situation because I saw signs that things were just developing into something worse. And so it made me think about friends like you, friends like Ray, friends like, Brandon, one of my other buddies, Timmy, uh, my buddy Lane. Like, there's so many people, but I I have a very like small social circle currently, but there's more people to it. Uh, my grandma, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking just make a post of everybody, and I just sat there and thought, my uncle, and this person, that person, and I just wrote what I loved about them, things that when I think about them, this is what I think about, and you were one of them, you know, and you probably had the best description too, you and my grandma, but yeah, man, I just took a second to just show everybody like, hey, and I thought about DMing it to everybody, but I was just on a roll writing the post already, so I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna just post it.
Well, and
And,
there was a reason. There was a reason you wanted to post it, so you should
but,
follow that feeling. I would encourage people to have the sort of relationship that you and I have, where we destigmatize certain things that I feel like have a lot of stigma behind them. Like, look how we started a conversation today. I said you might not have realized this, but for the last 3 days, I've been in a weird place. I've been a little down. I've been struggling, and that's just common practice for you and I,
oh yeah,
right?
that's like
That I
how we
start.
start our conversations every time.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, that's basically every time. Like, what's up, man? How you been? And it's like, ah, dude, I had the most wonderful conversation with somebody today, and it got me really high, and I was feeling really low earlier. Like, I describe everything that I did throughout the day to you. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and but isn't that how relationships should be with everyone, really? Um, that's part of the reason I'm pursuing psychology as a profession is I would like to take the stigma off of expressing negative emotions and feelings. They don't have to be like it doesn't have to come up in the conversation and now we're both depressed and down. It can just be like I want to express this to get it out there and to you understand that maybe I've been struggling the last few days and then we can move on from it. Maybe you can give me some insight or something.
Dude, I
But
mean,
like it's all right. These are things we should talk about. There shouldn't be this stoic nature to all of us in our daily lives where we walk around like everything's all right and everything's okay and we're just walking past everyone as strangers and fake smiling and all these things. When you ask somebody how they're doing, it should be a genuine response of to actually how you're doing. And if somebody says to you I'm not doing well, you don't have to like be taken back and like oh geez, it can be like an acknowledgement of the feeling you're having, and then a response as, do you want to talk about it, maybe we can work on something like that, or just a like, hey man, I know how that feels, that sucks, and I hope your day becomes better, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this super deep thing, but if it is a super deep thing, you should be willing to go there with the person, because everyone knows how it feels to suffer, and everybody knows how it feels to be having a bad day or have a couple bad days together. You know, I even find still how I believe and how I am now that I stop myself from asking people what's wrong sometimes when I know there's something going wrong. And I'll be like, well, why did you do that? You could have easily just maybe asked them how they were doing and possibly cheered them up and made their day a little better, you know?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
there's just such this habit of needing to act like everything's okay. And like,
Well, and when you're willing to share, it changes the dynamic of a relationship. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. Like, I just met somebody for the first time today. I mean, well, we had met in passing at work once in a while, but we started talking, and it was it was almost, I could feel that it was weird for her that I was so honest about things and just completely, like, uh, lack of a better term, I didn't
candid.
give a fuck what she thought about what I was saying and doing. You know, I was just 100% pure, unadulterated me from the second that I started talking to her. We ended up having great conversation, hanging out for a minute after work. Like, it was cool. Just, just chilling, talking for a minute. Like, it was chill. So, I can only imagine, right? So, like, let's put a, not an analogy, I guess, but just a description of a situation. So, say that you're in a marriage, you personally are in a marriage for like 10 years. You and I aren't friends. And I mean, I know you have other close friends, but I don't know how much you talk about your own struggles, right? So you're the person that doesn't share your struggle. Now you're 40 years old, you've been in a marriage for 10 years, you hate it. Like, you're sneaking into the bathroom and masturbating, like, while the fucking kids are getting put down by their mom because you guys haven't had sex in 8 months and you just hate your life, right? And you want to go out and have sex with a prostitute. Like, that's your existence, that's your life right now. And you have nobody to talk to about it because
And that's
how do
all
you
you can
tell
think of.
somebody? How do you tell fucking Dan from the car wash who you talk to every other Thursday, like that's one of your closest relationships, that could be your existence. The clerk at frickin' the gas station or whatever, like somebody that you talk to all the time, or even a friend, like your kid's friend, your kid's parents, or your kid's friend's parents. God damn it. Um, you know, you can't talk to those people. So like anybody that's close to you, you feel like maybe if you talk to your parents about it, you're gonna be judged. Like you have nobody to turn to. That's scary, man. Like I can't even imagine how detrimental that is mentally. When in all reality, you're wanting to my point as like a go around here is things go to so much more of an extreme because people aren't able to share how they feel and thus be able to look up a way to help deal with those feelings, right? Even things like sexual assaults and stuff like that. I mean, I think that there's an argument for legalizing prostitution massively when it comes to this, but on another level, destigmatizing people's weird wants and cravings and stuff like that, I think would just change, it would change like the actions that are taken in a negative sense in that way. If somebody was able to voice their sexual frustrations because they haven't been able to maybe have intercourse in X amount of time or whatever, they're just not attractive, or they have like social disabilities of some sort and they've always had trouble communicating with other people, so they're now just massively frustrated and end up committing some sort of sexual assault or whatever. Obviously, there's still going to be dickheads who go out and drug people and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's going to help with that, but just for the people that are lashing out because of things that they feel deep inside that they're not allowed to share, like that's sad. Like it is unforgivable to molest a person or to in a pedophile situation. It is unforgivable to commit that act. but you never think about what it must have been like to be that person up until the point that they did it. Maybe they're complete sociopaths, they have no feelings whatsoever, and they're just disgusting, evil people. Or maybe they have a weird attraction that they never understood and then lashed out in a way that's disgusting and, as I said, unforgivable. But at the same time, it must have been a fucking nightmare to be that person up until that point. Like, that's an existence that without being that person, I don't think we could ever understand, you know? You're sitting there wanting the worst possible thing that literally, if people had the opportunity, would throw rocks at you in a public square and, like, nobody would complain about it. Like, if we just brought that back, that's the one time that you could do it, you know? Almost even over murdering a child, I feel. Like that's not that that's a weight that you want to try and measure in any way, but like from a
No,
social level,
I get where you're going. I
I
get where
feel
you're.
like that's worse, you know? But you know that you want to be that person. Like that's crazy, dude. That's crazy.
Well, in if there's a chance that we have spoken that when you feel certain feelings and emotions and they keep coming up, they keep coming up, they keep coming up, and you push them down, you push them down, you push them down, they start to fester and they start to get worse, and you push them down. But I know that through my own spiritual growth and for your own growth as a person, when you sit with these feelings and you actually try to understand them and psychoanalyze maybe what has happened to me in my life that has made this happen, and then speaking with another person candidly about that, you can actually let it go and it actually does leave. It
Yeah.
actually you do heal and you do go. But if you don't have that person or you don't feel comfortable exploring that thing of why you feel that way, eventually you push it down enough, it's like a bomb and it's going to explode and something bad is going to happen. I'm not saying, like you said, maybe the person's a sociopath and there's nothing that they could do to get rid of that issue, which is a whole other different problem itself, right? But the point being of this conversation, if you destigmatized a lot of these things, maybe we could decrease the amount of negative events that happen from holding in these types of deviant thoughts. It would be a crazy percentage that you could bring them down, right? It's the same idea, for example, in those places in Canada where they have made heroin centers where you can come and do your heroin without the fear of being arrested and with clean needles, and they have the drugs on site that if you overdose they shoot you with it immediately and you come back alive. And then the rehab center is connected to the place where you can shoot the heroin up, because most people don't want to be heroin addicts. They're heavily addicted to this horrible substance, and it's probably because of self-hate and other things that have happened to them. But if it's destigmatized and there's people there saying, hey, you're a human being and I still love you, and it sucks that you're doing this, and then the rehab center is right next to it, what are the chances that that person gets better compared to the situation that existed before, where it is stigmatized and you're seen as an outcast, right? So what if there were more establishments and situations where it was a facility or something of that nature where certain things could be explored? And I'm not even talking about the deviant thoughts of child molestation. I'm talking everything, the deviant thoughts of, like you said, wanting to have sex with a prostitute, or committing acts of violence or things of that nature. How long do you have to feel alone in your own mind with your deviant thoughts for you to just not care anymore and start to resent the world because you're like, why am I like this and why am I
Yeah.
suffering, and I feel like other people aren't suffering like this? How long does it take for you to get to that point where you just don't care anymore and you want to hurt other people because of how badly you're hurting yourself? At a certain point you just don't care anymore. But if what I would be interested to see what would happen if you were able to express these things.
Yeah. It would be a completely different existence. Completely different. What's weird though is sometimes and this is massively regrettable, but sometimes that side of me manifests in a negative way. Like somebody will cut me in line at the grocery store. I'll be like, "Oh, so you're the kind of asshole that likes to cut people. That's cool, man." have a good day. And I'll say something like that, and I'm just like, come on, dude, just let the guy cut you. He's just an asshole. Like, just let him do his thing. Who cares? You know? But there's that thing that just doesn't give a shit about what other people think and will express how I feel in any way I feel necessary. And that's what I do. Like, it was, oh my god, dude. Okay, here's a terrible habit that I'm gonna admit on here. When I get a critique at work that I disagree with, I voice my opinion immediately on why I believe them to be incorrect rather than just being like, okay, yeah, I'll do better next time. I don't do it. I click and I'm just like, no, actually, this is why I did this and this is why I did that. Just so you know. But I'll get like an attitude about it or whatever. Somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to give it up. I actually just serve. It's easier to just say that. I serve tables. So, like, somebody's like, oh, this drink has been sitting here for 45 minutes. You haven't picked it up. One of the bartenders says. And I'm like, for sure hasn't sat there for 45 minutes, bud. And this is the guy that's pouring my drinks all night. Like, this is not the guy to be arguing with. Just be like, hey, man, got it now, though. We're good. I'll do better next time. But instead,
So
I'm like,
why do
bro,
you
it's been about
react
10
that
minutes.
way?
Chill. Just, I don't know. I don't like having
Why do you think?
the perception that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing when it's like, uh, no. Like we have little machines where you can check out, right? And you're supposed to pre-bus tables. So when people are ready to go, you start taking everything off the table. It's a lot easier to turn the table around at that point. Well, some people are really familiar with this little machine. You're off getting some other table something, they're just done. Boom, and they just leave. They don't say anything. And that's fine. It's not an issue. They do all their tipping and everything. It's cool, you know. But that means that they just immediately get up and walk away. So they just finish eating and they leave. I can't get out there and just start cleaning it. Like I'm carrying food out, right? And my manager is like, "What is this? This isn't pre-bussing. This is post-bussing." And I'm like, "Okay, so you see how and I literally said this. I'm like, "That's a full spinach dip right there. Those are all full glasses of soda. That is a full plate of or like a half a plate of food. Never asked for a to-go container. Didn't get a check yet and just got up and paid. Same thing with that table. Like most of their stuff was still half full. There was no reason to have even asked them if they're almost done. Like,
Well,
just like
That's your manager jumping to conclusions.
that's where I was just like, that's not the
Probably
case.
off of his own pressure to
Yeah,
run a tight shift and everything.
yeah,
Which, yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I like the other side of what you said is letting some things go because you're just like, it's whatever, sure, okay, like, yeah, no, I know I'm doing a good job. Like,
yeah,
I told you when I was in the Navy for the first 2 years, I would just get so frustrated with the unfair treatment and like other people not working as hard as me and getting away with things because of favoritism and people not doing what they were supposed to, but they were cool with the manager, so they got away with something. And like I started to resent that, and I started to think, well, I shouldn't do good work anymore.
yeah.
I shouldn't try to apply myself. And I had this manager realize I was frustrated, and he sat me down this one day, and it's a really powerful moment for me and something that I think about. And he's like, stop doing it for them, do good work because Michael Whitaker does good work, right? Take pride in your work because that's who you are. That's what you do. Because those things are only going to benefit you in the long run. Yeah, you definitely got some nut in your system. Shit!
The issue is for them to get me down, they have to have somebody underneath me, and I'm a biter, so
Hmm.